pull it towards you some,
Yeah,
so this comes out. No, this section.
Oh,
There you go. Oh, it's like a microphone
so
stand.
nice.
This is fancy. Special hour.
Okay, I guess I can start. Do the intro. It's running.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Go ahead. Let them know.
Yep. All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of Be On The Mats podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Spain Jr., along with my faithful sidekick, James Williams. And today's episode, we're talking about holding on versus letting go. I feel like that's a loaded topic for us today.
For me specifically, yes. Like that's what I'm known for. Grips.
Yeah.
Like if I can't do anything else, he's got really strong grips.
Or holding on to your title as my sidekick.
Yeah, like nobody gets to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I purposely break kneecaps for people who try. That's why it's always me in the second man chair.
Okay.
Yeah, you saw what happened to the other guy.
I did. And it wasn't pretty.
No.
So I guess when we're talking about holding on versus letting go, there's a lot in Jiu-Jitsu and a lot in life that we can potentially discuss. In Jiu-Jitsu, right, probably the primary thing most white belts will do, even blue belts, will hold on to things longer than they're supposed to.
Yep.
And the position that comes to mind for me is like bottom side control and just like holding a headlock on somebody.
Yep.
That feels like a staple in as far as an example goes of holding on, you know. Let go of that shit, dude.
The number of times I've seen a white belt literally like grappling with themselves in that position is endless. Like I've seen in scenarios where they've got that headlock and side control, and the person at this point has moved all the way to mount, and they're still holding on to the head. It's like you realize like all of their weight's on top of you, right? You're making it worse because you're holding on.
Now, the sad fact is sometimes that taps people. Sometimes people tap to it because you got a guy who's just really strong, and they're just squeezing your head.
Yep.
And it's about to pop like a pimple.
Yep. And they feel accomplished after it. It's
Yeah.
like, you saw I tapped him with that? Yeah, I saw you tap somebody with the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life, a neck crank from the bottom of life and death.
And when you're new to jiu-jitsu, you don't know what's legit or what isn't. So if somebody does that to you, like another white belt, you're just like, ugh, you know, even though the guy basically just went aggro on you.
Yeah.
But this is why self-defense jiu-jitsu is super important, because that's how 90% of the population operates if they're put in a situation that's a fight. They're going to hold on. They're going to be gritty. They're going to just they're all going to have the same responses for the most part. I laugh because I told somebody recently, I was like, a black belt in jiu-jitsu just has been exposed to what everybody does so many times, right? And, you know, that's just a classic example of holding on. And, you know, but when you let go, you're able to move. You're able to potentially recover it from that bottom position.
Yep.
You
are able to grow beyond where you stand, because you gave the example of holding on to somebody's head in a bad position, but it could just as easily be holding on to a submission that has no possibility of finishing and deciding, hey, I might be better off moving into a position that I could move more freely, or that a better submission presents itself. My favorite one is the guy with the life or death arm bar, and the elbow is not in, but their legs are heavy and straight and strong, so the person can't come up, but there's no real danger. They never decide to, hey, this arm bar isn't happening. Let me change positions and move back into something that I can continue to work from, but don't have to worry about whether I'm going to gas myself trying to pull back on an arm that's not going to break.
No, that's a great example. A lot of examples on bottom, like even triangles sometimes, trying to hold a triangle on somebody who's stacking you, or you're just not, you don't have the space set up properly to be able to finish it. So lots of good examples, and almost always the answer is letting go, because the consequence of not letting go is getting smashed, because not only are they breaking out of this attack that you're holding on to, but now they are angry.
Yep.
And they're probably going to have a little extra motivation to try to smash you.
In addition to that, they're probably not as tired as you, because the effort it takes to continue to hold on to something that is not getting anywhere, you exhaust yourself mentally, physically, and even in real life, in everyday life. If you hold on to those situations and you continue to exhaust yourself, when you finally decide I want to move on to something else, you may not have anything in the gas tank to afford the ability to move to something beneficial.
It's that squeeze, man.
It is.
You could apply holding on to, like, whether or not you should stay somewhere or leave. So even in regards to jiu-jitsu training, maybe you're the type of person who is trying to do this for fun, but you keep getting hurt because you're not able to slow down, or you're being too aggressive, what have you. And because you're getting injured, you keep coming back, you're getting injured again. It's like, well, if there's not a lesson that's being learned here and we're not actually evolving to be able to participate safely, maybe it's time to let go and move on, and I'm sure that can transcend all kinds of different areas in life. But, something else that comes to mind for me is grips.
Mm-hmm.
So once you start learning the sport, and let's say somebody is trying to pass your guard. So for those of you that don't know about jiu-jitsu, guard is when you're on your back. You've got established grips on the pants or the jacket of the person on top. And the person on top is trying to clear those tangles and grips and pass the legs. Well, a lot of times if you're holding on to grips while the pass is happening, before you set out, the top players set their offense in motion, you're not able to... you're not framing. You're not able to stop the pass because you're so focused on holding on to the grips you've committed to, which isn't always a bad thing, but you have to start learning how to be intentional with when to let go of grips.
Yeah, like there has to be a healthy level of give and take, and understand that if this continues, I'm going to lose the upper hand. So at what point do I need to let go of what I'm holding on to and advance to whatever the next thing is? Sometimes in jiu-jitsu, you can kind of put your opponent in a position where they'll hold the grip for you, and now you're free to grab something else. But if that were a real life scenario, sometimes you have scenarios where people are holding on to you and making it impossible for you to let go. And so you got to find a way to separate yourself from those situations. And I say people, but it could be certain things that you just have a propensity to want to indulge in.
And being intentional with what you're holding on to, like knowing what you're doing and why you're holding on to it.
Right. What's the value in it for you? There's
double sleeve, collar sleeve.
Yeah.
You might let go of the collar to control both sleeves. You have to understand the why behind what you're doing. So when you get started in jiu-jitsu, most of the time we're just gripping for things.
Yeah.
And we're grabbing and we are holding on.
For dear life.
My favorite is double collars.
Oh, my God. I was just about
One
to say
collar
it.
grip on each side. Dual collar grips.
Don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I got it.
I mean,
he's not going anywhere.
I'm sure there's some things. I'm sure you could overhead sweep a guy using that. There's
Probably not. Their hands are going to be free.
The only time I think I've really seen the most effective way to hold double collars is when you're behind them.
Yeah,
for
under
like
the
some
arms.
kind of like staying in control and staying behind your opponent.
Yep.
So in that instance, I could see the effectiveness, but most of the time when you're playing guard, you're not going to grab two collars. You're going to have either a collar sleeve on one side or double sleeve.
Or even a cross sleeve.
Or a pant grip, So there's...
Or even a cross collar.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's just not double collar.
Yeah, no, not straight on double collar, raw dog in the back of their neck with the gi just sawing their neck with their collar. No, I don't think there's a whole lot you could do with that.
Something, too, that I can give as far as advice to new people in jiu-jitsu is a lot of times when you're controlling a sleeve grip, it's a posting arm.
Yes.
So, like, thinking about that intentionality of like, if I'm gripping a sleeve, it's controlling their ability to grip me, to move their hands where they want to move them, to be able to pass successfully. And it also buys me time to think, to know what direction I'm actually trying to sweep this person.
Yeah.
A lot of times. So
I mean, there's a lot of different instances where you feel like I could easily keep plowing into this person if I wanted to, but if they got that post in hand available, they could easily get out of it. They can recover, and if you're on the bottom of that exchange, you probably end up staying on the bottom or end up being in a worse position. So knowing when to let go and when to hold on is exactly a good thing to have in your pocket. And I say it's more of a white belt thing or a blue belt thing at times to hold on too long, but I find myself doing it every once in a while. But when I'm doing it, it's with intention of trying to frustrate the other person. If I know you're frustrated visibly enough that I can't get my hand free because he's holding on, well, there's some strategy behind that. But I'm doing it because I have an intention. I have a purpose behind it. Whereas a white belt doing it is more of a survival mechanism.
No, I agree. And we've talked a lot about the bottom player, but the top player also has a lot of holding on and letting go to think about. So
Yeah.
in regards to sometimes walking up to them and just establishing grips on the pants and giving them the opportunity to get all the grips that they want as well, versus approaching it a little bit more cautiously, managing distance to a healthy degree, right?
Yeah.
So that you're not giving them all the tools they need on bottom to be successful.
Yeah, and I guess the only caveat I would have to that is if it's your intention. If it's that I want to work something very specific where I'm in a working behind and trying to get back to a position of being dominant, or I want to start with a loss so that I can see if I can work my way back to a win. That would be the only instance I would allow somebody to do that, because yeah, you have to practice being in the bad positions to figure out how to get into the good positions. And if you stay in good positions all the time, that one time somebody puts you out of your realm, next thing you know, you're struggling to try to get back to something that's usable. So there's benefit in starting behind as well. But again, just like I said a second ago, it's with purpose, it's with intention. I am strategizing on how to perform better so that I'm putting myself in a kind of behind in order to get back ahead.
And what else are we holding on to in jiu-jitsu? Sometimes it's a game plan, right? Or it's a strategy that's worked for us in the room for a little while, and then everybody becomes hip to it.
Yeah.
And now we have to not necessarily let go of what's worked. Sometimes it's okay to still keep something.
Yeah.
But you might have to add more layers.
Mm-hmm.
You might have to explore new opportunities so that you can grow and have more success on the mat more consistently.
Yeah, just building on what you've already created. It's I think my journey in jiu-jitsu has been one of, I found a specific move that I was good at, and I said, all right, I'm going to get super good at this. And I kept doing it over and over and over again until it became like, hey, this is my thing. I'm going to use this. And time passed and people got hip to it, and it started to get harder to do. So it's like, okay, well, now I'm going to try to figure out how to do it on the other side. And then it evolves a little further. And then everybody started getting hip to that. So now this one technique has to evolve into a whole system. So what guard do I want to play from? Well, it's connected to collar sleeve, so let's keep using that. And then using what you do know to evolve yourself into what you want to be, because collar sleeve connects to double sleeve connects to De La Hiva connects to single leg X, and then that's where you start branching into all the other things. So don't let your fear of letting go prevent you from growing into what you could be. So always looking for those opportunities to connect things together. I think that's super healthy and helpful for anybody that's either doing the sport or just in life. How can I use these opportunities that of holding on to things as an opportunity to grow?
And it's a 10-year sport for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
You You're not going to learn everything
No.
in your first week, in your first month, in your first year.
If you do, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, so you have to let go of the idea that you're going to be able to get every question answered. One thing as an instructor, it's kind of like I roll my eyes at when I get asked this question, but it's, well, what if this? What if that? It's like always what if,
Yeah.
and I have to answer all these little scenarios. It's one thing when a child does it. And actually, I appreciate when a child does it because that shows interest,
Yes.
right? But as an adult,
It comes across different.
it's good to be inquisitive, but you can't you can't challenge every technique. You have to understand that every technique is revolved around a circumstance, like this is when they pressure, this is when they pull away. This is why you need multiple options and operate in a way that's conceptual and not just technical sometimes.
Yeah, because you're going to have and just for me, whenever an adult does it, not whenever, but oftentimes, if it's a new student coming in the room or if it's somebody who I've just got a vibe from and they're trying to dispel why this will or will not work, and we're telling them, well, this is for a very specific circumstance. Like this moment is for when you are in this position and they're giving you this response. And some people just can't connect with it. And so I tell myself, you know what? This ain't the move that's for you then. Move on to the next one. We'll get to something else here in a second. But if you want to try it, feel free. If not, try the last thing. If that doesn't work for you, come back to the next class. Like this is what we're working tonight.
Yeah, I think we had like a Ben Franklin look-alike come in for a trial class not long ago. And
yes,
we're playing guard, of course. And I think this guy came up to you and, you were partners with him for his first class. And he kept kind of pointing out where he could strike you.
Yeah,
even though this is not a striking, this is not a striking martial art. Yeah.
Specifically wanted to hit me in the groin.
Oh my gosh.
From my close guard. Like after he got free, which we're drilling guard breaks. Why would you want to, like, you've understood the rules. We've explained them. Like, this is not a striking class.
Didn't actually hit you in the
groin.
No,
he didn't. But he said, I have to keep fighting the urge to want to strike you in the groin because that's what I would do in my other class. I'll take one of those shots. I'll take one, and if I catch that arm, I'm going to triangle the hell out of you. Like, I'm going to triangle you, like, from the bottom of my soul. Like, I want to pop your head and arm off if you think hitting me in the groin is going to get you make you feel like you're doing well in this class.
James, it seems like you're holding on to this fantasy. I'm going to need you to let it go.
Yeah, I'll let it go. I didn't think about it till you brought it up. That's a you problem. That's not a me problem.
Well, I mean, it does bring up, when guys are holding on to their old ideas, especially these old heads who come into a martial arts place like Jiu-Jitsu, which is, unless it's a Gracie studio or some kind of weird, like hidden cult somewhere. Most jiu-jitsu schools are pretty chill. Like you're going to come in there and they're going to be relaxed.
Surfer dudes.
Yeah, it's going to be relaxed. For the most part, that'll be your experience.
Unless you find the TRT gym, and that's going to be a little bit of different energy.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people, when they're thinking about self-defense, they hold on to the idea that when they come into a gym, they're going to be learning how to fight, which is true to some degree, but for the most part, you're learning a sport. You have to remove the idea of a fight. I feel like jiu-jitsu's come a long way where it's not so associated with the UFC anymore. Now, the UFC did just start a grappling specific, UFC BJJ, which is cool.
Shout out to Mikey Musumeci.
Yep. It doesn't do any favors for jiu-jitsu as far as like the people that don't know anything about the difference between a mixed martial arts bout and a jiu-jitsu bout.
Yeah.
For the hobbyist that wants to come in and train, you don't have to be a professional. You don't have to worry about self-defense right away. You just need to learn how to move your body and how the art is performed.
Yeah.
Self-defense can come, right? If you train anything long enough that's a combat sport, you're going to learn some self-defense through that. But you don't have to come in specifically for like what do I got to do if the guy throws this haymaker or tries to grab my groin while I'm playing guard and
Oh my God. Well,
whisper sweet nothings to
if
me?
he does, you clearly are in the wrong room. Back away and ask for an adult, because clearly you are in the wrong place. But to your point, there's you have to, again, it kind of goes to ego. You have to leave that at the door and understand that this isn't that kind of environment. Could we do this and hurt people? Yes, very much so. There's a lot of ways you can end somebody's life with a lot of the stuff that we do in jiu-jitsu, and given the opportunity to use it, yeah, that could end very badly. But if you look at it from a standpoint of the general or average person that you see in a jiu-jitsu studio, they're going to be someone who most time has a job, potentially has a family, has something else that is a responsibility that they have to take care of. And most of those guys can't afford to have somebody come in and crush their testicles because they thought it was something that they were supposed to do in the class. So it's just one of those scenarios. You got to leave your ego at the door and say, I don't want to get hurt. And at the same time, I'm not really here with the intention of purposely hurting somebody. I want to put somebody in a position where they feel like, yep, you got me. Let's reset the game.
Yeah, I think people definitely hold on to an idea of themselves when they first come in,
Yep.
and it's very hard to let go of that idea.
Yep.
When you're humbled on the mat.
Yeah. Primetime version of you may have been able to do all these amazing and great things, but if you're not primetime you anymore, you have to come to realization or let go of the old version of you and get familiar with the new version of you and understand, hey, if I want to be that person again, there's a certain level of work that I got to put in. And your lifestyle may not be set up to get you to be that person again, but that doesn't mean that you can't be a good version of yourself or something of yourself that you'll be proud of or happy to walk in those shoes again.
Yeah. So
thinking in terms of, this was one that you put on there that I was pretty, not necessarily excited about, but I thought it was a good point. So the letting go, but thinking of it in terms of strategic and not being a weakness. And that kind of plays into what we're talking about as far as egos, because whenever I think of, hey, I got to hold on to what I have, the thing that's keeping me from wanting to let go is a lot of time it is my ego. And your ego can come across as a weakness because it's forcing you to do the things that seem like they're comfortable, but they're only comfortable because you don't know what's on the other side of them. So it does come across kind of like a weakness because it's almost fear-based. You don't know what's on the other side of letting go. So you tend to hold on to it with the intention of saying, well, if I keep what I have, at least I know where I'm at and what's going on. If I let go, I'm putting myself in a position for the ultimate scramble, which could be a scramble in your life, or it could be a scramble on the mats, and whoever's best prepared to handle those situations is the one that's going to come out on top. And sometimes that comes with a good portion of luck too. And so that could be scary for people.
And holding on to having to win every role is very
Yes.
hard to let go of. Even as you progress in the belts, I'll speak from my experience, like go through waves of wanting to win roles in the room, and or wanting challenging roles, or wanting it's like that comfort zone, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's important as you progress, as you advance, that you still look for tough roles and you still tap and let go
Yeah.
of the idea that you have to win every role to enjoy this sport or to be successful at it.
Yeah. I think one person that comes to mind often, and not for bad reasons whatsoever, but Russ as an example, who just got promoted to brown belt. Shout out to Russ. Congratulations,
Hey,
brother. We
the
love you.
doctor.
About time. Stop selling those purple belt wolf tickets. But one thing that I think about with him is he's rolling in the room with people like Avery. And if you want to talk about polar opposites, Avery's not as experienced as Russ, but he's as heavy as 2 Russes, maybe a little bit more.
No, there's probably at least 3 or 4 Russes.
Yeah, it may be 3 Russes to make 1 Avery. And so when I think about Russ rolling with him, I think to myself, okay, that's a pretty big mismatch, and it could go very bad for Russ. But if he walks on the mat with his ego on his chest and on his shoulders, every time he goes with him, he can have a bad experience and just slowly deteriorate himself. So I think I remember talking to him at one point, and he says that, yeah, I don't worry about beating Avery. I worry about getting the small wins. So if I focus on, if I can keep Avery from doing this, then that's a win. If I can focus on keeping this and Avery not being able to take it away from me, that's a win. So in order to be able to play the game as you get older and you get more seasoned, you have to find those ways of identifying what is a win when dealing with someone of bigger stature. And Avery's just getting more and more experience, so those opportunities are going to get less and less even for myself. Like, I can only imagine what a purple belt Avery looks like. That's probably terrifying. So much so that I'm probably going to be moving my weight class down to heavy from super heavy or ultra heavy, just so that we don't step on the mats together. But just thinking about it in those terms, you have to have a certain level of humility and stow your ego away to be able to say, like, I want to still enjoy this game. And in order to do it in a healthy way, I have to put away my ego, come to the realization that I'm not going to win every roll. I'm not going to win every round. I just need to decide what my wins are. And that'll keep me in a mind state of being mentally healthy to deal with loss, but at the same time, still moving forward.
Yeah, you don't want to operate under the delusion sometimes that because somebody's playing a game with you, that in a real fight, you actually would have a chance against that person.
Yes.
Some people who are born athletes understand the on-off switch, and Avery's one of those guys.
Oh, yeah.
So, because somebody's being technical with you, it's just important that or they're letting you work. You don't want to allow yourself to be blinded by, like, any kind of progress you make to thinking that, I handle that guy in class,
Yeah.
Because if that person finds out, it might be a different story the next time y'all lock up.
Very much so. Very much so. You got to respect the room. Don't let the fact that you caught somebody in something put you in a position where now you've got to try to outpace them for real. And they may be taking it easy and you have no idea. And they may let you work. And next thing you know, you get a sub on somebody and they walk out into the world and they start bragging and boasting. Next thing you know, they find out about it and they come back to you and it's like, may not even say anything. But for whatever reason, this next roll just seems to be a lot more aggressive. Like, why did he tap me 6 times in 5 minutes? I don't even understand. I was doing so much better the other day. No, you weren't. That's jiu-jitsu.
No, I think the mats are the truth.
They are.
You're not going to it's why people quit. It's why people leave, because you're exposed to the truth day in and day out. Mat time is king, so the more you're training, the more you're shown who you are and what you're capable of. The more you're humbled, the more you're grounded, because you understand that this is dangerous and that real life could be far worse than what a jiu-jitsu class has to offer. It's as close to a real, it's as safely close to a real altercation as you can get without taking punches or strikes.
Right.
But you still don't take into account slamming, eye pokes,
Right.
like all the terrible things that could happen on the street.
Right.
So I think
Biting.
Yeah, but as far as your ability to overcome adversity, because it is very difficult to learn the sport, even though you're not worried about all that stuff in there, in the mat, in a jiu-jitsu gym, you're not worried about people pulling your hair or whatever, for the most part.
For the most part.
Unless you got Ben Franklin
Unintentionally.
in there. Trying to, like...
Not intentionally doing it. It still happens.
But that adversity, I think, is what really builds confidence and allows you a better grip on when to hold on to something and when to let go.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, and something I would add to that is you do get a little bit of a stamina boost from it as well if you are really dedicating yourself to it and putting in the effort. Because one thing that I would think I would potentially encounter in a street fight is somebody that's trying to fight may not have the gas tank that I have, because 5 minutes is a pretty long time to fight somebody full out. But for most people on the streets that get into those kind of fights, may be good for 60 seconds. If you could weather that storm, you may just be able to win that match, just that fight, just based on the fact that they don't have the gas to give you anything else. And so now you get to kind of take advantage of them.
So how do we connect this to life, James?
I mean, there's all kind of connections in this. I mean, when you think about holding on to a relationship that may not be healthy, if you think about holding on to an addiction that may not be healthy, these are all things that we all struggle with in one way or another. I think there are the big addictions that people talk about as far as drugs and alcohol, those things, but there's all kind of other addictions out there that are just as unhealthy. It could be someone who has an addiction to the craziest stuff I've seen is eating drywall, those kind of things. But that's a true thing. Like you saw that episode.
What about holding on to now this is gonna could be a little bit of a slippery slope, but what about people who are a little out of reach as far as their goals or aspirations? Like, what about somebody who invests tons of time and money into something that they want to do, or maybe a dream of theirs that they're holding on to, but it's destroying their life? Everything they're doing to fight for this one thing is destroying everything around them. Now, you do hear countless stories about successful people who have burnt down their life to get to where they are.
Yeah.
So I guess that just goes to show you that nothing comes without sacrifice. If you want something bad enough, everything else can be tossed to the wayside. And but what does that say about that type of person? Is it amazing? Does that make the person amazing for holding on to these things, or does that make them a monster?
It depends. I mean, honestly, I relate it to kind of like relationships. When I was younger, I would talk to certain girls, and my dad gave me some advice like, hey, son, whatever you got to do to get her, that's what you're going to have to do to keep her. So those same things you just mentioned in terms of somebody chasing a dream, if it is truly a dream to own a certain business or have a certain product that they've invented that is sold to the world, in order to get it started, if you have to nuke your entire life and relationships you have with different people and all kinds of things like this, I mean, you're going to have to think that's probably something you're going to have to continue doing in order to keep it. Because if it's a particular business model that you have and you've had to sacrifice everything that you have and own to get it, well, in order to keep it growing, you're possibly going to have to do the same things. And that's just my thoughts around it, because I think in terms of the way business and businesses work, a lot of times they have to give away so much of their time in order for them to continue to build. And everything is constantly evolving. Everything in the world is constantly changing. So what's great today is just okay tomorrow. So how do you reinvent that business? Well, you've got to burn down a lot of bridges and build a lot of things just like you did before to keep that going.
Yeah, and if it's not a business you own and you're working for an employer or something like that, you can apply this to, you mentioned earlier about the girlfriend thing, like, if you, whatever you did to get her, your dad said you got to keep doing to keep her. It makes me think of employees who are just naturally good, hard workers, but they end up getting taken advantage of because they display that those qualities.
Yeah, I just want to be a people pleaser. And if the people that I'm trying to please are my employer, a bad employer could take advantage of them, and basically they end up giving their life away to that company, and the company doesn't give them anything in return if it's not a good employer.
So why do people hold on to their jobs, right? Because maybe it's a salary, maybe it's a title that they really like, and they're scared of losing that because they wrap their identity up in it.
Yeah. A fear of being less than.
I'll tell you, how much money you make and whatever title you're given by an organization isn't who you are.
Yeah, it's
right?
not.
Who you are is ultimately how you treat people.
Yeah.
You know, I think what people remember you as, that's who you are.
Yeah. And I mean, from a different standpoint, I mean, no matter how good of an employee you are for any employer, as soon as you pass away, if you're still employed there may be a handful of people that come to your funeral, and after that, they'll remember things about you, but it's not going to be a scenario where you probably have the whole plant or facility shut down to come to your wake or your funeral. It would be a scenario where it's just, well, we got customers to tend to. So if you would like to go and see so-and-so in their casket, we'll allow you some time, but this will be the total amount of time you're allotted. So please return to work afterwards. I think that's most of what most businesses do, but I get it. The person that they're fulfilling orders for, the person that they're shipping product to, or the person you're building cars for, they don't have a concern, and they don't know who was impacted by these particular things. So I get that aspect of it, but it's still business. And so if you attach your identity to somebody, or I'm sorry, not to somebody, but some business, you're going to end up losing yourself.
Yeah, and I think for me it brings up thinking about being replaceable, or just I know we got the doorbell ringing right now.
Yeah.
At James's place. Who's up there?
It's a guy that's supposed to be coming by to give me a quote on a generator today.
Oh, well, do you need to go talk to him?
Yeah, give me a couple seconds.
Okay.
That's all right.
Go ahead, man. And we're back.
Yeah. Jeff's going to edit that so it looks like I never even got up.
No, I'll just leave that 5 minutes.
With you staring at the camera.
Me just staring, yeah. So we were touching on, whether or not an employer would care after you're gone.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's really tough to, just because of the money thing.
Yeah.
Like if you have a job that's providing for you and your family, and you're not really happy there, it is a tough decision. What I would then ask myself if I'm in that position is my happiness important enough to leave the job? And does my happiness affect my role as a loving husband or father in the family unit?
To that point, a good example, while I was at FedEx just last year, Fred Smith, the owner of FedEx, died. Not only the owner, but the creator of FedEx. And considering he's the person that made the company, you think, okay, this is major, right? You would think like, hey, maybe they'd shut down production or do something. And literally the only thing they did was send out a 20, 30-minute video memorializing his life and pretty much get back to work. So even if the owner of the company, the creator of the company, passes away and nothing stops for him, you are guaranteed that nothing will ever stop for you or anybody else at that operation, period. So if you are using your job as your identity to say, hey, I'm in this position and that's what gives me value, okay, then if that gives you value in this world, just evaluate where else you feel important, because once you're dead and gone, it'll be a small plaque on a wall for somebody else to see and maybe even forget you very quickly. To your point, I think the people that are going to remember you and care when you're gone are the ones that you actually make genuine connections with. And so that's part of the reason why I value our jiu-jitsu community so much, because I think in a positive way, I've had an impact on a lot of the people around me, so much so that I see people light up when I come around, and I don't think it's because of me. I think it's just because it's another face showing up that they're familiar with. But if I'm able to influence people enough that, hey, if I didn't show up, that they may start questioning, like, hey, where's James at? That's when I know that I've had a positive impact on people, when they start wondering where you're at, and when you're not around, they want to know, is he okay? Where's he at? Where's he going to be? Just from being consistent, that's all.
I mean, that was my motivation for trying to start podcasting again, was like, what messages am I leaving the world when I'm gone, specifically for my children? You know, like, how am I going to talk to them if, I go before my time, and they have to become men?
Yeah.
That's the idea here, is to leave some sort of imprint on them specifically, but also anybody else who could benefit from my experience, whether not telling you like, hey, let me tell you all the things to do. If anything, you'll probably learn from me what not to do.
It's going to be a lot of that.
But I'll tell you, my head was spinning when you were talking, because you were talking about the owner of FedEx and how, he created this thing that I'm sure he was holding on to for a long time. It was his baby.
Yeah.
But when you create a business, it almost becomes like a living organism.
Oh, it is.
And it takes a life of its own. I could see that in the jiu-jitsu gym. Like, I may have started that school, but it has now grown to a place where it is operating with or without me in a lot of cases. So not that, I mean, it's a way smaller scale than FedEx, obviously. And I'm sure, I would hope that you guys would do more than just make a 30-minute video for me. But
we're definitely gonna close.
Maybe
the school,
45 minutes at least.
Like,
45
we'll probably take
video.
a week and shut the whole building down and just say we gotta regroup.
As a creator of something in this life, that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
When you create in this life, whether you're a musician, whether you're a filmmaker, the way that people can edit things, the way that people can remix content or change the course of a business or their image, it's like nothing is offhand and is yours once you've brought it into existence.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy concept. And when I think about holding on and letting go, holy crap, dude!
Yeah.
Like, you can't hold on to the things that you create in this world.
Not your children. They're like not businesses, not even your ideas. Because if I remember right, I could very well be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that when you create a business and you give it an LLC or anything like that, it now becomes almost like a person. And in that sense, that's why you have to pay taxes on the business, just like it is a person. It becomes a legal entity, for lack of a better term. So you're right. You had the idea, you put it out in the world, and now it exists, but now it belongs to itself. And while you may still support it, just like you do your kids, it has to stand up on its own. And I think that's the legal aspect that keeps you from being sued if your business does something bad. Now, it doesn't necessarily affect you directly, but almost like if your child did something that resulted in legal ramifications, it could roll back to you as the parent. So that's kind of the same connection you have with your business.
That was a mouthful.
It is. I mean, this is what you got listed, but we could touch on like coaching and leadership perspective. So from a standpoint of holding on versus letting go, that's kind of what we're doing now. We're kind of helping people decide at what point do you feel like you need to let go. If you feel like something is becoming unhealthy, that's one of your biggest indicators that you need to let go. If it's in the jiu-jitsu world, once you see your guard starting to collapse, that's probably the point you need to let go. If you are attempting to pass somebody's guard and you're holding on to something and you see yourself getting slowly pulled into a trap of a triangle or a trap of an arm bar, that's a good time to let go. Change direction, switch gears, look and see, is there another opportunity? Is there a better placement for yourself so that you can come out on top? Because deciding to hold on is, in the moment, it's safe, it's comfortable, it feels like I should be able to use my strength to navigate through this. But if you continue holding on, you are slowly giving your opponent everything they need to defeat you. So you have to be willing to understand that in these moments, it's okay to let go. It's okay to lose. It's okay to reset. It's okay to slowly ease into submission so that you can stand up and try again. That's one of the key lessons of jiu-jitsu, is you get the opportunity to lose on your terms and reset whenever you feel like you can be most effective again. But just like in life, if you keep fighting for that thing that you want, you might just get it and it may ruin your life. And so because you decided to hold on to it instead of submitting to life happening the way it will play out, putting your energy into something that you can control and moving forward effectively, you are kind of stunting your own growth.
Yeah, I think there's positives to holding on, just like there's positives to letting go. And, you can hold on to your morals, you can hold on to your dreams, you can hold on to the people that are close to you. It's like letting go of things, in my opinion, is mostly reference to those things that no longer serve you. I think with that, we can wrap this bitch up.
Well, no, I was going to say, one thing I was going to say, just because you jogged my memory, in terms of letting things go that no longer serve you, it's very easy to get drawn into the realm of imposter syndrome. So I think about the Austins, the Ashleys, the Russ, they all got promoted this weekend. And so for them, there may be a moment where they step on the mat and they think, whoa, I'm wearing this purple belt, I'm wearing this brown belt. It doesn't feel like it belongs to me. Because I know I dealt with it for a while. And I just had to, over time, come to realization this isn't my choice to wear this. I'm in this position because someone with higher authority and more experience and a better understanding of what it takes to be at this level has decided that you are good enough to be this person that we've wrapped this belt around you to be. So accept where you are in those moments and just know that while you may not feel that you are where you need to be, just understand there are people around you that will push you to be the version of yourself that you want to be, and that they already see that you've had that growth. So be willing to let go of that old belt and those old ways and know that the future still exists for you. So just keep pressing forward.
Yeah, and in terms of jiu-jitsu, it's not always skill level. It's who you are to the community that you got promoted in, and how they're comfortable with how you will represent yourself in other communities.
Yeah.
So it's bigger than just skill. Skill definitely plays a part. I think a purple belt should have a certain level of comprehension of the sport and abilities, but it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
So
that's
cool,
good,
man.
I think we can wrap it up now.
I keep trying to end this podcast for whatever reason. I'm trying to let go, man.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. That's why we just go tell them, click the bell, subscribe, do all the things.
Yeah, definitely. If you like what you're hearing from us, I know it's far-fetched from what we used to do, but we're enjoying it, and we hope you are too. Just like our Instagram, our Facebook, follow us on Spotify, on YouTube. Those are pretty much the 4 major platforms we're on. And you can comment or drop us a line if you guys want us to cover something specific. But outside of that, man, I think that about does it.
All right. Well, that wraps it up, guys. Thank y'all. Happy birthday, Jeff.
Oh, thanks. Hey, you had a birthday too this month.
I did.
40 and 45.
Yeah.
Old as hell.
My two favorite guns.
Cool, man.
All right.